everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from soggy Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast.
I'm Frank.
You are Frank.
Woohoo!
Look, guys, it's Frank. We found him.
Oh, my goodness. What happened?
Where have you been? And I'm Dan, by the way.
Yeah.
Frank's been steeped in the world of documentary film.
I got stuck in dealing with the project for a month. So
And we'll be discussing a little later in the show. We'll give you a little, not a sneak peek of the of the film itself, but we'll talk about some of the issues that you go into.
Yeah, well, I was busy editing, so
Yes.
apologies. I'm actually, I hope that I don't scare off any new listeners.
Yeah, they don't know who the hell you are.
Know who I am.
All of our newbies are like, where are
Frank and Dan?
where
I thought this was
where
Frank,
are Jake and Mark? Where are those guys? I thought those were the new guys. Those were the guys.
Yeah, nope.
Although,
Thank you both, Jake and Mark, for
thank
sitting
you.
in. Didn't think it was going to go that long, but it did. So.
But they were great.
Finally pulled myself out of a pile of work. So
They were fantastic.
Oh, okay. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
You got you some stories?
Sure. I got some good ones.
Okay.
Here. So this is like, I don't know what to present this as, good news or bad news. This is out of the U.S. House of Representatives.
Okay.
H.R. 1150. It has been passed by the House of Representatives. Now it's being considered by the Senate.
All right.
And basically, this is it's designed as it's a bill to amend the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now it's bad and good in my opinion.
Okay.
The part that I really don't like about it is that it's there to, like, basically what's been happening is there's been a big push to ban circumcision in, like, Europe, in the hoity-toity countries.
Ooh.
Over there in liberal Europe.
Ugh. Ban it.
Just because,
ban it outright.
just because, banning it for infants.
Right.
And really the only reason that they're doing it is because it's mutilating a child's genitals for no reason.
That's not a very good reason.
Yeah. No, actually, they claim that it's religious persecution to ban it. And in some cases, it kind of is. Like, there's some French politicians who are, like, super dickish about, like, trying to...
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly, right. Anyway, but so part of this bill is all about, like, protecting the people who want to mutilate their boys. And then part of it, and this is the part that I'm, like, feeling kind of awesome about, they've added language to include protections for those who don't profess a religious belief.
Oh.
Which is amazing.
Okay.
I'm not even sure how that got in there.
I'm trying to process right now.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
There's language in it. I'll read some of the language. It says, the freedom of thought, conscience, and religion is understood to protect theistic and non-theistic beliefs, as well as the right not to profess or practice any religion.
Meh.
Yeah.
Right.
How about that? And it even mentions the specific targeting of non-theists and humanists and atheists because of their beliefs.
This passed the U.S. House of Representatives?
I know.
No.
You got it. If you sneak it in while you're protecting the right to have penises that look like all of their penises, then
right.
then they can sneak in some stuff about protecting atheists as well.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Weird.
But good and bad. So good and bad things happening. And mind you, this doesn't have any teeth in terms of this is a bill about how the U.S. responds to international
religious type things.
Yeah, this isn't about what's happening in the U.S. It's about, like, how the U.S. who the U.S. will condemn,
right,
and who they won't.
If it had to do anything with the U.S., then we'd be screwed.
Yeah. They hate us.
Yeah. Okay. We've always been better with
But I mean, I think this
we
part
feel
of this.
better about atheists abroad than we do in our own country.
Well,
Is that the deal?
Well, we don't behead atheists or hack atheists to death anywhere near as often here as they do in other lands.
Hasn't been an issue of late.
No. So. Usually here, what we do is just make atheists feel really shitty.
Judge from across the room.
Right. And
sneer.
And do our damnedest to keep them from the public sphere.
You know what? I will die for people's right to sneer at me across the room.
Yeah.
You know?
They have the right.
They have the right.
All right.
Anyway, I don't know.
Moving on.
That's not really a thing. Is it? All right. So, Dan.
Yeah.
You don't have kids.
What?
But if you did,
okay.
I have a tool that you might be interested in.
Okay.
It's called it's been dubbed a chastening instrument. That's its official.
A chastening instrument.
Chastening instrument.
I find bagpipes to be a chastening
or perhaps
instrument.
we should call them child whipping sticks. That's what Patheos calls them.
Sounds great.
That's what Hemenetta calls them. So a guy by the name of Steve Haymond, who had been about 10 years ago, he had a website up that was selling these child whipping sticks to the public. So because you need a 9-inch by 1.5-inch polyurethane stick. It's the perfect size, perfect length.
Kind of a ruler looking thing.
It's kind of like a ruler, but it's got a lot of give, because you want to give, you want to hit the kid, you want to scare the kid, you want it to sting, but you don't want to hurt the kid.
Well, what you don't want is for anything visible to show up. You want to make
Child Protective Services.
You don't want them to be able to point at anything and say this is where it hurts. But you want it to give that good sting.
Well, in terms of just evidence that could be used against you, you may want to stick with that ruler then, and not a device that is specifically designed,
marketed,
and labeled as a stick for hitting your kids.
Oh my God, it's kind of amazing.
So anyway, the website disappeared. Back in 2006.
Amid outcry.
People were pissed off.
Right.
Yes.
Because guess what you can't do is you can't market child abuse. That's not okay.
We've just barely arrived in the 21st century, and we don't agree with this anymore.
Right.
Well, 10 years later, he's back.
Oh, good.
But this time he sent a letter. And I just want to read the letter.
Oh, like in a mail? Like the actual mail?
He typed up
and
printed out a letter.
Did a mimeograph?
It says, "Dear friends, it has some typos, so please bear with me. I'm going to read it as written.
Okay.
I can contacting you as a former customer of child training resources." I think that's I am contacting you. As you may know, we stopped selling our chastening instruments and closed our business in 2006 due to external pressures and family reasons.
Oh, and family reasons.
Since that time, and after 10 years of periodic requests and inquiries, we have decided to again make these chastening instruments available, but only in and this is a bold and underlined, private basis, and without a website or any internet exposure. To jog your memory, for those of you unfamiliar with our instrument, the blue spanker is 9 inches long.
The blue spanker?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw that at a dildo shop.
And was it 9 inches long and 1.5 inches wide?
Well, I mean, it came in various sizes, but that sounds about right.
I hope it was more than 3/16 of an inch thick, though.
Well, one does hope.
Made of virtually indestructible polyurethane. It is extremely flexible and quite portable. Easily fits in a purse, back pocket, or diaper bag.
Diaper bag. Wow. For the baby that needs chastening.
Important. Include your email address and or phone number with your order in case we need to contact you. If you have questions, you can call me, blah, blah, blah. One more important thing. Feel free to let other biblically minded parents know about this chastening instrument, but do not post anything about it on the internet. And please please exercise discretion.
Frank,
to those you tell about them.
Frank, you're just telling everybody.
I know.
What are you doing?
Getting the word out there, Dan.
Oh my God, it's so stupid. I mean, okay. Yes, there are multiple references in the Bible to why you're supposed to beat your kids.
Yeah.
That's still not okay, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many times the Bible says so. No.
Goes on. Although proper chastisement is legal, there are some, even among family members, who mistakenly believe that spanking of any kind constitute child abuse. Our willingness and ability to make these instruments available to parents who believe in biblical chastisement depend both on their responsible use by us as parents, see our tips, and care in who we tell about them. Thanks for your sensitivity.
Okay, here's the thing. If your product requires everybody to stay hush-hush about it, it's not an okay product.
Oh, that's not true. I know plenty of products that you don't really talk about.
Back to the dildo shop? Is that where you went?
Well, dildo shop. There's other such, you know who you procure certain substances, perhaps.
Oh, sure. Chemical enhancements of various kinds.
Just being hush-hush, that's not reason enough.
Wait,
but when it has
being
to do with your
hush-hush,
children...
But being hush-hush in that way indicates there might be a lack of legality.
Or broad social acceptance.
You might not be on firm legal footing if that's happening.
I just love the whole, it's, what did they call it? Child, well, no. Chastening
instrument.
That is just, and there's a picture right there.
Oh, yeah, it's just a blue ruler.
Blue ruler. It's labeled. Let me see if I can pull that up. Child chastening equipment. Yeah.
I just feel like what's dumb about this is that people are paying money when, let me tell you something, child chastening equipment grows for free outdoors all over the place. And you can make your child go and pick their own out.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
go and pick you a Switch, boy. We're going to beat you.
They do seem to be failing to acknowledge the fact that you can beat your child with any number of implements.
Oh, sure.
You know,
household. I mean, do these people not own a wooden spoon? Come on.
Yeah.
Don't beat your kids.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
That's the long and the short of this one. I'm going to move on.
Things at
Just
actually beat them.
No. You can inflict so much more lasting damage by just emotionally abusing them. Oh, good Lord. I'm going to move on. Speaking of abuse, the Catholic Church. We've all heard of them. They're those good people in the funny hats and whatever.
Right.
An annual audit of reports of sexual abuse by members of the Roman Catholic clergy has shown a sharp increase in the number of new claims.
No. Did they feel like that whole thing had blown over?
They're like, what? We let you have the damn movie about us. It's fine. Now, who wants to give me an altar boy? Apparently,
maybe the movie gave him some ideas.
The period from mid 2014 to mid 2015 showed a pretty substantial 35% jump in new reports of abuse. Yeah.
Wow.
Even as also it showed a jump in the amount that they have to pay when they are sued for. So they're in some trouble here.
Now I have a question.
Yeah.
Does this spike in reports actually, is it correlated to a spike in incidents? Because I mean,
I don't know.
I don't want to come off as
that.
Somebody who's swooping. I mean, that's something that an apologist would try to argue, whatever. But perhaps, I mean, this is a good thing that the reports are on the rise.
Sure.
Right? Because it's probably it probably matches more just sort of the general incidence of it because public awareness has risen.
Right. We're getting closer and closer to actually hearing the real numbers. Is that what you're saying?
I wonder. Right. If anybody's looked at that.
Hard to say. I mean, it would be very difficult to suss that out. It would be very difficult to actually get to that point. But
you would think some statistician somewhere could figure it out.
it's just so weird because you would just assume that it's going down because we all know about it and everybody's like guarding their kids a little bit more around the priests and stuff.
Priests are priests.
The priests are getting cleverer. That's what's happening.
Are they?
No.
It sounds like they're getting reported more.
Well, not clever enough.
Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah. There's no hooray in that. That's just really, really shitty news.
I'm glad you shared it, though.
Yeah.
Dan.
Hooray! Oh, wait, I said there's no hooray.
Maybe, Dan.
Yeah.
There might be a hooray here.
Oh, good.
Not sure. Probably not. The Church of Scotland.
Sure.
Are you aware of the Church of Scotland?
No.
The Kirk, apparently.
The Kirk.
The Kirk. Yeah. They are, over the next 2 years,
No.
they are launching an investigation into online baptisms.
Oh.
And online communion.
Good. Good.
Everything's just going to the web.
Sure.
These days, and
Sure.
they want to. The Kirk wants to keep up with the times.
Yeah.
Right. And so, due to a drop in their numbers,
Oh, dear.
they're scrambling.
Yeah. Sure.
And they're looking for some sort of way, and they're not sure exactly what an online baptism might mean. Traditionally, baptism, of course, has always been done in person.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you
But
really
it's
couldn't.
just symbolic.
Yeah, but the thing that I love about the internet is, like, could a priest have written? Could you have done a baptism by mail?
Yeah.
Back in the day. Like you know what I mean? Like,
No.
nobody ever thought,
You gotta
hey,
do
why don't
it
we
over
do
Skype.
a correspondence type baptism
Sure.
or communion, right? Nobody ever thought that. So why, because of email and Skype and blah, blah, blah,
I just feel like
all of a sudden possible to do remote baptism.
I just want there to be a Skype session in which somebody's like, and now you got to throw your water over your head, and I'm going to say the blessing. It's terrible Scottish dialect, but there you go.
It's not bad, though.
Laddie. All right, you're a Scot. Congratulations. Now go praise Jesus and send me $200.
Yeah. Apparently, though, an offshoot church called the Free Church of Scotland is highly critical of the whole thing.
Oh, dear.
The note quote, this is from David Robertson. He's a moderator of okay, I don't know what that means. But anyway, he says the notion of online baptism is as ridiculous as the notion of online weddings or online communion, which they're also suggesting. At best, it is a cheap gimmick. At worst, it comes across as yet another desperate attempt by a declining national church to shore up its numbers and justify its existence.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank
However,
you, David Robertson. I think you figured that one out.
However, Mr. Robertson, what you may not have realized is that it's no more ridiculous than in-person baptism. It's all dumb. The whole thing, everything you got there.
We're just used to the in-person.
Right, yeah. Exactly. It's like people who refuse to, I don't know.
You do have to wonder
Stop being such a Luddite.
If text messaging had existed in Jesus' time and John the Baptist's time, how would they, would they have sent an emoji of some kind?
Just says, at one point, Jesus just sort of gets a text that, bloop, and he looks down and it just says, you are, like the letter U are, you are baptized, LOL, smiley face.
Winky.
Water emoji.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think I like it. I like it. We'll do some online baptisms.
Yeah, I baptize you in the name of the. How did John the Baptist do it?
His was by immersion, right?
Well,
so
yeah, but
you had to go into the water.
Yeah, but how do you do? You can't do immersion remotely, can you?
That's what I'm saying. Like, get in the bathtub, make sure that your computer or phone is in a safe spot. Go to a hot tub or nearby pool,
right?
And we'll just do this remotely.
Open the Church of Scotland app, and
That's right. That's right. Now, mind you, you do have to pay the extra in-app fee for the baptism. For any kind of
it's weekly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a weekly in-app fee.
Right.
In-app purchase.
Well, that's for the communion.
If
you want to have communion, you gotta go buy yourself some crackers and wine, and
I love crackers and wine.
right. Who wouldn't want that? Yeah, if you have a small party over at your house, you can just everybody take out your phone and do the app. We're just going to make this communion and our appetizers.
Yeah.
Why aren't they consolidating things? This pretty much the Church of Online Brunch is what's going to be happening.
People are busy these days.
Yeah.
They you might as well give them some convenience.
Yep.
So,
I'm going to take us to Texas. To Port Neches, Texas.
lovely place.
Land of the free and home of the brave.
Where is that?
I don't know. It's in Texas.
Okay.
It's a smaller town. They have, and let me see if you can spot the problem here.
Okay.
In lovely Riverfront Park in Port Neches,
Okay.
it's a public park. There is a stone monument. Looks kind of like a lowercase letter T.
Okay. What does it stand for?
It stands for Jesus.
Okay.
They're not good at spelling. No, it's a cross.
Okay.
In the middle of a public park.
All right.
Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Frank, but it's not legal to have a Christian cross alone in the park without any other anythings in a public space. That is not legal.
All right. That's
So there have been complaints, there have been problems, and they've solved it.
oh.
The FRF sent a letter to the mayor saying that no, that's not okay. So they solved it by selling the tiny plot of land that is sitting on in the middle of the park to a local church.
Very clever.
Aren't they good?
That's actually really good.
They've figured it out.
That's the best way to do it.
Oh my God! So yeah,
That's some legalese right there for you.
they sold it. This little like probably 3-foot square parcel of land. They sold it to a church for $100.
Oh no, was that the market rate?
I guess so.
I hope it was. I hope they had somebody come in
and value the whole park and then just take it down to whatever.
Yeah. You can't you can't part with public property without having a proper, estimation of its value.
Well, this calls it a 20 by 20 parcel of land, but I don't know if it's got to be inches. I think because this is it's just this tiny little.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's like the Mormons with the mall downtown.
Yeah.
They didn't want any liquor on their property to be sold, so they sold the parcel of land underneath the restaurants.
Idiots.
Yeah.
They're dumb.
Well, that's fun. I mean, that's an interesting... I want to see how that goes.
Yeah.
I need to know how that goes. It's actually...
It's so stupid. It's...
All right, Dan. So...
Yeah, what do you got?
Those Mormon missionaries?
I've met one or two.
The female, the lady missionaries?
The girls.
Yeah, the
sisters.
Stylish bunch, right? Wouldn't you say?
Oh dear. Largely, so we see a lot of sister missionaries when we go to the downtown Salt Lake because that's who they have sort of manning the public relations at the temple.
Right. Yeah, they give tours and
generally speaking, what you're going to see is long floral skirts and
that happens.
Or long skirts.
Long skirts,
or
usually
dresses.
Solid colors, because they do like them to be fairly conservative.
Right. You almost always nylons, pantyhose.
Yes. In fact, it's required.
Right.
Uh-huh.
God, that's so gross. And then of course, very modest.
A top of some kind.
Yes.
That's a little blousey, maybe. Mm-hmm. Often a little sweater over the
And
blouse.
then, of course, it is required that they wear horrible shoes. Just hideous shoes.
Oh, it always comes back to the shoes for you. Anyway, so there's been some modification in the dress code.
Oh, are they going to allow good shoes?
That's not specifically mentioned.
Oh, okay.
However, in sort of the Zika mania, the Zika frenzy that's going on in the world right now, sister missionaries who live in areas where Zika is an issue, where there's lots of mosquitoes spreading the Zika, they can wear slacks to fend off the Zika.
Oh, my God.
Can you fucking believe it?
Things have gotten bad indeed. If the Mormons are allowing girls to wear pants, then this must be a plague.
This is not a general change in the wardrobe. So I would say if you live in an area and you see sister missionaries in slacks, run screaming because Zika is coming.
Get your deet and wear it religiously. That is interesting.
There was also a recent wardrobe change, but for the men. This is recent, but not as recent as this one, but all within the same week or two.
Yeah.
So apparently the men are being allowed now to wear sunglasses.
Oh.
Which I hadn't even really considered the fact that there was a prohibition on sunglasses.
Yeah.
I mean, I served a mission, but I don't remember that being a thing.
Well, that was a long time ago. You're a very old man.
And to be honest, my eyes have gotten more sensitive to light as the years have passed.
Oh, sure.
So I didn't really need to wear sunglasses as much back then. I didn't get the headaches that I do now if I don't. But they're also allowing hats for men.
What?
For the sun. Did you not hear about this?
No.
So, and this is where I was like, well, what kind of fucking hats? I mean, because I kind of flashed like ball caps because they're young guys, but that would look stupid. That would make them look even dumber than they already do.
Which they already do because they're already wearing like white short sleeve
white shirts with a tie,
button down shirts with ties, and then a backpack. They look ridiculous.
So they are not.
This is apparently the fashion episode of TGIA.
So they are. They have to avoid bright colored hats or hats that are too casual.
Yeah.
Or that may distract from their message. Baseball hats.
Right.
These are the hats that are not allowed. Baseball hats, cowboy hats, bucket hats, newsboy hats, and fedoras are not acceptable.
Allowed. Okay, so what is allowed?
Something called a wide brim hat.
I'm picturing like a Panama. I'm picturing like a straw hat. A fedora is a wide-brimmed hat. Not, however, a trilby, which is what most people call fedoras these days, which is what most of the young men who are douchey enough to wear those, they're wearing a trilby, not a fedora.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dan. Oh,
a little bit of hat education for you.
There. Yeah, so a wide-brim hat. In a conservative color. So it could be some kind of straw hat, or it could be like some kind of maybe like a Quaker hat.
Or they could just, they can go to any number of other religious sects and borrow a hat. They could go to the Orthodox Jews. Get a Hasidic hat.
Absolutely, that would work.
That'd be a great hat for them.
Yeah.
Very, very toned down. Almost always black in color. That's perfect. That's funny. Now, when my father served his mission, now that was back in 1950, early 50s.
Okay,
mid 50s. He was required to wear a hat.
What kind of hat?
Like a fedora. Gentlemen wore a hat. If you were formal, you wore a hat, and you removed it upon entry to a home or building.
Right.
But you were required to wear a hat. As a matter of fact, my dad, who went to Uruguay for his mission, he and a bunch of other young men were in New York preparing to embark on the boat that would take them to South America.
Right.
And they all got onto a bus, and in their suits, their dark suits and their fedora hats, apparently they looked like they might be family men, Italian family men, and a lady got up and gave them her seat.
What?
Apparently that happened.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, so the freakish looking elders just took on another level of just weird.
And they're just gonna
happen.
They're just gonna do it.
And they're gonna embrace it.
Of course, they're all gonna wear the hat.
Oh, they're gonna love it. Well, let me tell you, you're out there in the sun.
Yeah,
sun's beating down on you.
Sure.
You know, this is something that's probably been a long time coming. They probably have had a history of eye problems.
Oh God, I just realized
some general authority's son probably got like what do you call the degeneration thing? The
macular
degeneration. Yeah. And they were like, why? Well, because he was out in the sun for so long. Did he spend a long time in the sun, you know?
I just imagine, now I'm imagining these guys in like those god-awful like hiking hats.
They won't wear those.
Those khaki-colored hiking hats.
No, they won't do that. I hope not.
Maybe they will.
Oh my God, it's just going to be awful. The levels to which I am annoyed by them are just going to increase so much.
I'm gonna start sending missionaries like pith helmets. I'm just gonna.
That pith helmets were not on the list.
No, they were not on the banned list.
They're conservative color.
Cover your, they provide shade.
Yeah.
And then they all have to talk like British fellows.
I love a good pith helmet though.
Sure, why not?
Oh, that's great.
That's fantastic. I say, let's go tracting today. It's a fine day for it, but I would protect one's face from the sun. Just imagine. Dr. Livingston, I presume? All right, well, that is fascinating. If you have any fashion tips for Mormons out there in the field, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to send them in to us. You can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail message.
Ooh.
The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Indeed. Go to the Facebook page, kids, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It's a free but closed group.
It's an amazing group.
Why is it free?
It is free. We don't charge you. Anyway, yeah. So, hey, one quick thing before we dive into our little audio segment right here. Mm-hmm. Loot Crate.
Yes,
Loot Crate. We talked about it a little bit last week. Loot Crate is it's a service where you can every month in the mail you get a box of cool geek stuff.
Yeah.
You get like
it's good stuff too.
Yeah, good stuff, like
quality.
Good, yeah, and really neat. Like the design of the T-shirt that we got was amazing. Mm-hmm. It was just really well designed. It didn't look stupid. Like I've seen you get a lot of shirts that look stupid, but this was actually well designed.
This was a non-stupid looking Star Trek shirt.
Yes, yeah. Yes, indeed. So yeah, get on that.
I wore it all day.
Yeah.
I put it on. I wore it. It was comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? And then you get a bunch of other stuff. It's just chock full of stuff. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's a subscription service. If you want to sign up, and you do, go to lootcrate.com/TGIAtheist.
All right.
And then sign up, and then we get a little bit of kickback, and you get the cool stuff. Everybody makes out like a bandit.
Well, we got some of that good old wacky Jim Baker. Jim Baker. He, there's one thing on this man's mind, and just about anything that happens in the world, he can get us to it.
Let's listen.
I was just reading a headline today about the Zika It threatens 2 billion people.
That's right. And once again, Pastor, that is Revelation proportions. That's over 1/4 of the world. The article from the Daily Mail says this: Zika threatens 2 billion people across the world. New maps reveal where the virus is likely to strike, as experts predict millions of births will occur in these areas, raising the risk of microcephaly, where the craniums are smaller when they're born.
The Bible is very clear that there's going to be massive disease that'll kill 1/4 of the world's population, according to the book of Revelation. That will be a sign of the last days before the coming of the Lord. So what we need to do is read the Word, be prepared, so that we can be a part of this amazing time that's going to be soul-winning time.
Amen.
And so if you're not prepared, be prepared. Be prepared now while we have this special going on. Now, if you order a year of food, how much bonus food can they get today?
Yes, today, whenever you order 1 year of food for a donation of $600 to the ministry, you're getting a bonus of a rice bucket and a bonus of sliced potatoes.
Rice bucket.
You got some bonuses. Woohoo! Man, what a great life this is. Well, no, here's one thing that I did just pick up on that I hadn't thought of before.
Yeah.
The way that they've got it structured, these are gifts that they give you for giving them a donation.
Yeah.
So, like, technically, you could write off your food purchases.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
this is brilliant.
If you could stand their what must be awful food, like, I imagine it's got to be the worst, because this is a food, we've talked about it before, it comes in these 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah.
And it's probably worse than, like, the military MREs that, you get if you were out, on patrol in Saudi Arabia.
Let me tell you, though, Dan, the other night,
Afghanistan or something.
When the power went out.
Yes, we had a huge power outage here in Salt Lake City.
I wish I'd had a food bucket to get me through it. I'm just going to say.
We lost power for, I would say, a solid hour.
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, no.
We could have all died.
I unfortunately had just finished an episode of Fear the Walking Dead when the power went out. And I was not necessarily in the best state of mind for the power to go out, and the refineries, which are quite a ways from my house, but in the same city, to be venting off as much excess gas as they were, whatever that's called.
The sky was glowing orange.
So there were flames coming up over the horizon, and I just finished The Walking Dead and the power went out. I wanted some Jim Baker food.
Yes,
really badly.
But so there you go. If you don't mind having shitty tasting food, all your food can be a tax write-off.
Yeah,
if you go through Jimbo.
Smart.
Living up to that Baker name. Well, we've had some people write into us, and more to the point. And this is, I didn't get to it. We didn't do it last week because you weren't here, Frank. But some stuff went down on the members only lounge.
Oh, okay.
Good stuff for us, you and me, Frank.
Right. Okay.
There was a very organic groundswell of financial support for us.
Yeah.
A couple of one person in particular, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Who just suddenly was just like shaming people into donating to us.
Oh my God.
Like she went after people, and suddenly what she had done was gone to patreon.com and looked up our show and how much we get per episode, and then some other prominent shows and how much they get per episode.
Right.
Because we try not to hit it too hard. We try not to be too annoying about it.
Yeah.
We've been accused of being too annoying about it.
I can't imagine how we've been too annoying.
But
maybe right now.
Right now. But this is amazing. She went out there and and suddenly everybody was like, oh shit, yeah, I've been meaning to, but I never did, and blah blah blah. And suddenly we had all of these people signing up to be new Patreon donors.
Yeah.
So we've got a whole list of that to thank, and then there's another thing that we got to get into. So start with that list.
I'll start with the list.
So this is patreon.com where you can donate to our show and basically you sign up for a per episode donation.
Yeah.
$1 is a lot to us.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. So I'm starting now, and I'm going to go for a little while.
Okay.
Thank you to Christian, Jose, Sarah, Cassie, Ellie, Nathaniel, Elizabeth, Tiara, Steve, Emily, Patrick, Heather, Wayne, Candace, Mick, Cheryl, Aaron, Marie, Jenny, Amy, Tracy, Tony, Kristen, Peter, Taylor, Edward, Rebecca, Brad, Robin, Christopher, Audrey, Margaret, Chelsea, Misa, Brett, Sarah, Jennifer, Bjarni, Monica, Nicholas, Robert, Chad, Cam, Dale, Kelsey, David, Randy, Holly, Lee, Adam, Grant, Greg, Christine, Larry, Ashley, Savid, Stacy, Candace, Sarah, Wendy, Chris, Matthew, Margaret, and Brad.
Holy shit!
That's unbelievable.
You guys, that's amazing. And some of these people are signed up for like a lot more than just $1 per episode.
Yeah, we got some $2 in there. We got a $3, a $3.50, a $4, another $3.50.
It's amazing.
Bunch of twos, $3.54.
I mean, this is all. So just so you guys understand, this is all just volunteer. If you want to be part of making this, and if you want to sort of help us out and help keep us on the airs, then you can go to thankgodimatheist.com. Click on the donate page. It'll link you to the Patreon thing, and then you just sign up for however much you can afford.
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. But then something else happened that we now have to talk about.
Okay,
and this is just as amazing.
Okay,
an anonymous donor has offered a $1,000 matching grant. For people to donate if you do a one-time donation on PayPal. On PayPal.
Wow.
So we're
wow.
We've had a few. She was going to do it as just a 24-hour period thing.
Yeah.
But it turns out she didn't raise as much money as she had hoped. She wants to give the entire $1,000.
Unbelievable.
And so she's still challenging people. So if you guys want to, you can go to thankgodimatheist.com. You can double your own.
Yeah.
Give
us 5, we get 10.
Right. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Give us 20 and we get 40.
Yeah.
One time, you don't have. This isn't a sign up for anything thing. A lot of people have done both. A lot of people signed up to be monthly Patreon donors, but also wanted us to make sure that we got this challenge grant, so they've signed up for both.
It's really so touching.
Holy crap! All of this was entirely unsolicited. So
it's really
amazing,
it's
you
sweet
guys.
And
we are
really amazing.
We're entirely unworthy of it. Entirely unworthy. No, I don't feel that we're unworthy of it. But I do feel that I'm entirely appreciative of it. It's amazing.
No, thank you guys. That's unbelievable.
So that was sort of the first thing we had to get to. It's amazing, and I don't even know what more to say about it. But I will say this: if you want to be appreciated back and you're in the Salt Lake City area, we are having a meetup.
Oh yeah,
Thank God I'm Atheist meetup here in Salt Lake. It's next week. It's Saturday the 27th, 8th. What's next Saturday?
The 28th.
28th. So Saturday the 28th at the Wasatch Pub in Sugar House. Here in Salt Lake City, we'll be upstairs. We've got the whole little sort of upstairs area to ourselves.
Wow!
There will be appetizers. There will be a cash bar. You can bring young'uns if they're accompanied,
Oh, right. Yeah. Anyone under 21 has to be with someone who's 21.
Right.
Yes.
Right. If you're a teenager and you just need one of us to walk you in, I'm sure we could probably work that out. Anyway, we hope that you'll come and meet us and let us show our appreciation to you. And just show up. There's a $10 cover that gets you appetizers and all kinds of and it covers the server that's going to be there working for us.
Right.
And
exactly.
it's great.
Yeah.
And so we're really looking forward to meeting all of you guys.
We haven't done one in a while, and this one sounds proper.
Yeah,
this one's put together.
It's legit, and we're gonna have
just been at a bar and people show up.
Yeah, Mark's gonna be there. Frank, you and I are gonna be there. Mackenzie's gonna show up.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an amazing thing. So all of the people.
Looking forward to it.
Let's see. We had a voicemail, didn't we?
We do.
Let's get that going. Let's talk to the people.
Hi, TGIA. This is Adam calling from windy Saratoga Springs, Utah, and I've got a solution to the bathroom debacle. You make both restrooms unisex, and you designate the women's room for pooping and the men's room for peeing. Thanks for your show.
The facilities are already sort of set up that way. Potentially.
Yeah.
There might be a urinal in the men's room, so put that to use with the women could take the toilet that's in the men's room. They can pee in
Suddenly the women's room is like the stinky one.
The pooping room. Well, you know what? The pooping should be in a different room.
It should be in its own thing.
So if I just have to pee, I don't have to put up with the pooing. This is what I'm outraged about, is people pooing in the bathroom while I'm trying to pee.
Here's what I don't like. Here's what I don't like about his idea is that I'm a man, so the lines for my restroom are always shorter than those for the women's restroom. If we unisex this thing up, suddenly I have to stand in their lines.
Yeah, it's not always the case.
Ladies are slowing things down.
Gay clubs, Dan.
Ugh. I don't go to the bathroom in gay clubs. Are you kidding me? I like gay clubs. I'm not going to go to the bathroom there, though. Things happen.
Oh, poor impressionable Dan.
My eyes! Help me! I'm going to read one quick email, and then we'll move on to our segment.
The segment.
This is unsigned. This email. Hey guys, I wanted to let you know how much I like your podcast and the great community it has inspired on Facebook. It was difficult deciding to leave it. I'm a fan of your reasonable approach to atheism, dispensing with the hysteria that often accompanies the division between them, bad, and us, good. It is a refreshing hallmark of your podcast. I only wish this would translate to more of your flock. The Members Lounge is such a great group, and I'm often astonished by the empathy and caring of the members. It is to your credit that you have created a space for so many to find refuge and healing. I'm troubled, however, by the tendency of many to adopt the same intolerant stance that they revile in Christians. She goes on he, I'm not sure which gender this person is, but goes on to delineate a moment where someone had basically called for people to demonize a religious person for saying that she felt God when her child's blindness was cured by doctors, and then this person felt chastised for saying, you know what, this was just her point of view, and it makes sense. She still thanked the doctors.
Right.
Anyway, there has been the reason I wanted to read this, and thanks for writing in. There has been a rash of trouble in the Members Only Lounge, and I think part of it is just because people aren't getting one pretty basic concept that I insist on in the Members Only Lounge. So I just wanted to mention it really quickly. Everyone in the lounge is part of your community. It's a community that the Members Only Lounge is meant to be. It's not meant to be a place. It's not like the rest of the internet where you attack everybody that doesn't believe the way you do.
Right.
It is a place where if someone tells you you've offended them, you don't tell them that they're being too sensitive. You look to yourself and you say, what have I done here?
Right.
How can I make this person feel better?
Right.
Even if you continue to disagree, that's fine.
Right.
But we take care of each other in the Members Only Lounge. And it's been amazing. Like, I see all of these posts where people have no one else to reach out to about really tough things in their lives. And they reach out, and this community embraces people. It's an amazing place. The Members Only Lounge is a place where people can feel supported and cared for, and I love that about it. So it's been so disappointing when people are like, when someone says, hey, this kind of hurt my feelings, and other people are like, well, your feelings are wrong, and blah, blah, blah. Like, basically, that's kind of where they go. No, that's not what this is about. If someone says you hurt their feelings, it's up to you to work it out with them. So yes, I hate that we're losing people from the Members Only Lounge because everybody's treating it as though it's the rest of the internet. It's not.
Right.
Okay, rant ended.
Done.
All right.
Moving on.
Oh, shit. I've got a shit ton more thank yous to do. We never thanked all of the people who have already donated for the $1,000 donation matching grant. Shit. Sorry, everybody. I know this is getting a little rough, but
It's getting a little too thanky, Dan.
I'm gonna thank them. I'm gonna thank them. You can't stop me, Frank.
I don't know, Dan.
Okay, not
Too much gratitude, Dan.
We do have one new subscriber on PayPal. So that's different than the Patreon thing, but still totally acceptable. So thank you, Andrew, for that.
Oh, thank you very much.
And then in terms of the one-time donations, thank you, Yasmin, Homespun Hullabaloo Designs, Alan, Callie, Peggy, Jennifer, Karen, who says that we do great work and love the podcast and the lounge. Thanks. Sean, Zachary, Karen again, Mary, Marie, and Judy. So thank you all so much. Again, I don't want to harp too much on this, but oh my God, it's so amazing, and it's going to be very, very helpful because, we will have some trips that we want to take coming up, to try and get out to you people and see the world and create some content for you people. And this is so helpful.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much.
So, Frank.
Yes.
You've been gone.
I know. I've been gone a long time.
You've been away from the show for a bit.
I feel a little rusty, Dan.
Well, you've been working. You've been working on.
I've been doing nothing but work. It's been a rough 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
Of just okay. First of all, how could doing something like documentary film be so rough? Because it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing. Well, my topic in this film is teen suicide.
Yeah.
And because Utah sits in a region of the country that has an incredibly, has a statistically much higher rate of suicide. It's noticeably always higher. And Utah as a state is always in the top 5 or top 10 for suicide rates. And I kind of suggested the topic when they were wanting me to do like a bullying film about bullying in the schools. They being
the local
PBS affiliate, so KUED. And so, but anyway, I've been working on this suicide film, and you were like, well, why don't we just talk about the topic of suicide, since you're sort of steeped in it at the moment and can rattle off statistics with, because I'm dealing with it constantly, I think it is an important one. But you actually ended up doing a little bit of nosing around and found some stuff that I wasn't aware of, which is suicide within sort of the non-believing community. Yeah, and I think that's something that we should really, really talk about. Like, that's
suicide itself is a tricky thing to talk about because you have to have sympathy for anyone who feels so either despondent or is in so much pain that the alternative that seems better is just to stop living.
Yeah,
and I have nothing but sympathy for people who feel that. I don't feel it myself, thank God. I'm not a suicidal person.
Right.
I do suffer. I do have depression. I'm a depressed person.
Experience depression.
But I'm not to that point. And so I feel my heart goes out.
As far as humanity is concerned, Dan, you're definitely not alone. But in the Intermountain West, you're definitely not alone, because our rates of depression are very high.
Are they?
Yeah, I think it was something. I think the statistic was something like a third or 40% of the population experiences depression.
Wow.
At some point in their life, while living at altitude. That's actually one of the newer theories about why the region has such a high suicide rate, is because as soon as you get above about 2,000 feet above sea level,
and we're at about 4,200.
We're at 4,200 in Salt Lake. The metabolic rates in your brain shift around, and serotonin levels kind of plummet. And well, the strange irony is that dopamine spikes. So you have you're able to feel a lot of joy and happiness in some of your activities that you do. So maybe you like to get out into nature, and it becomes this much more euphoric,
skiing,
amazing experience, right, at altitude. But all the while you might be feeling a little blue.
Yeah.
Because your serotonin's so low.
Also, you have to adjust your baking times and temperatures.
Well, I mean, isn't that amazing, right? There's something so fundamental as our breads and cakes and whatnot. The recipes are different, right? Because water boils at a different temperature, and
it just affects everything. What doesn't it affect? High up in the mountains of the Wasatch,
there was actually a lot of resistance to this theory.
Those people must not be bakers
amongst the scientific community, right? Yeah. They just didn't. The scientific community just couldn't believe that something so simple, basically, as rising elevation could affect mood,
right?
In human beings.
Well, they just never checked the incredibly low depression rates under the sea. Mermaids are always there's no depression.
The happiest crowd.
They are.
Truly.
They are.
Truly.
But so you're right. I did look up some statistics because we were talking about it in terms of the religious, and we were talking about it in terms of the non-religious. And it turns out, interestingly, at least in one or two studies, that religiously unaffiliated people had a significantly more lifetime suicide attempts and more first-degree relatives who committed suicide.
Interesting.
Than subjects who had a religious affiliation.
Well, one of the key things, or one of the things that's popped up a little bit in the project are stories of people feeling isolated.
Yeah.
Right. Isolation is not a good thing for the human psyche.
Right.
Especially if you're being isolated away from people you consider loved ones.
Right.
And so in the case of like family rejection, because you've come out as being atheist or a non-believer or whatever, and your family is not really accepting you for who you are and what your beliefs are. That makes a lot of sense.
We see the same phenomenon with gay youth.
LGBT youth face a suicide. Well, LGB, so the gay, lesbian, and bisexual people in general have a suicide rate that's 8 times the national average, and trans people have a suicide rate that's 10 times the national average. So that actually means that the trans community, trans people, how to phrase this the right way, 40% of trans people will attempt suicide at some point in their life.
That's so harsh. Yeah. It's a rough. I mean, you're right. It's being isolated is a huge issue. Now, that's not the only issue that affects atheists.
Okay.
There's an interesting other correlation, issue here. We don't have anybody in the sky telling us that he's going to punish us forever if we commit suicide.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I don't know entirely what to think about that. Because on the one hand, you would think that fear of a punishing God would have some sort of preventative, whatever for believers. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, when people when somebody tries to kill themselves, they're really just trying to make the pain stop.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much they really even care that there would be a God punishing them when they're so in the present, they're so in the here and now, and they're in pain, and they just can't handle it.
I'll tell you what. When I was a believer, it was meaningful to me, the notion that on the other side of death, there could be even more pain. So if you're trying to make the pain stop and then you do something that you are told that you will get eternal pain.
I'm not saying that it's not a factor. I wonder how much it is a factor.
Well, I'm looking at, there's a study that was published in the American Journal of Psychiatry. And their conclusion was, I'll just quote their abstract. It says, after other factors were controlled, it was found that greater moral objections to suicide and lower aggression levels in religiously affiliated subjects may function as protective factors against suicide attempts.
See, first of all, they're kind of a podunk organization.
Well, you can't trust clearly
the American Psychiatric
It's
Association.
just a little mom and pop kind of journal.
No, what do they mean? What's this whole aggression thing? I don't know what they're talking about there.
Well, I would actually have to probably pay for the issue
okay.
to get past the abstract.
Let's not worry about such things.
But I mean, but what's interesting is that it makes sense to me that not having a moral objection, because we as atheists have to sort of find our own moral compass.
Yeah.
And I don't have a moral objection to suicide. In my morality, in my system of morality, I think that there are factors that you have to take into account. Like, for instance, the fact that you could hurt people around you by doing this, and you'll subject them to a huge degree of suffering by doing this.
Yeah.
However, I think that the final word is that your body and your life are your own, and that you may dispose of them as fits your needs. That's my own personal.
No, I know,
moral.
and I would struggle with that a little bit. I think in the case of your, staring down some debilitating illness or injury or something, and your quality of life is, it's just going to go down,
and permanently so.
Yeah, and you've chosen to do some sort of basically doctor-assisted suicide, that kind of thing. That is an area that I have absolutely no problem with. I think that, doctor-assisted suicide should be legal, so forth and so on. I think that's a different discussion.
Sure.
Because I think what we're talking about in general when we're talking about just suicide is people who are not necessarily in their right mind. And that's what,
especially if it's because of mental illness,
mental illness, depression,
which is one of the main causes of suicide.
It's 80% of suicides are due to some sort of mental illness.
Yeah,
and
that's something.
And then there are some other there are some interesting other reasons why people end up ending their lives, and you'll just have to watch the film to find out why.
Oh wow, good one!
How did I do that? That was
good
one. No, it is by and large that's the problem. And so when there's somebody who's depressed in your life, right? Mm-hmm. It is important to be watchful and to be aware of what the risk factors are, what the warning signs are for suicide. What can increase a person's risk for suicide. I'm a little less versed in sort of the adult thing, but like with the kids now I kind of know this one, inside and out.
Yeah.
And, it's all the normal things that one would expect. Drug and alcohol abuse is a big one, especially when factored in with mental illness. Like if some, mentally ill and or depressed youth is now also using drugs and or alcohol,
right?
You've got just a recipe for disaster.
Well, and drugs or alcohol use can often be a marker to point you in the direction of someone who is self-medicating.
No, that's true too. Yeah.
So I mean, it can lead you to understand that someone is,
like bullied kids, any kid who's facing social isolation. LG members, we mentioned them, LGBT youth.
Yeah.
What are some of the other ones? There was this really interesting one that we're looking at in the film, which is sort of these perfectionist kids, right? It's actually about 15% of youth suicides are from kids who are facing some sort of unexpected shift in their life, right? Caused by, it can be like a breakup, right? Like a romantic breakup. It can be from an automobile accident.
Sure.
I heard some stories along those lines, or kids not getting into the colleges that they wanted to, or not getting into college at all,
or not making the team,
or not making anything where sort of their plan A shifts, and now they have to like go into a plan B. That's a risky time for some kids,
right?
Not all kids.
No.
You know? I mean, what we're talking about here are kids who. This is still a pretty small subset of kids in general.
Sure,
right?
Absolutely.
But there are things to look for,
sure.
You know, and to be mindful of. And then, of course, you know, suicides tend to cluster. So,
meaning one suicide begets other suicides.
Yeah, if your kid goes to a high school or middle school where somebody ends their life, just be a little bit more.
A little more vigilant,
a little more watchful. Just be more aware. Have some conversations. The
communication is the key.
The really important thing is that for the longest time, there was this social stigma about suicide. It said something about your family.
Yeah.
It said there was something shameful about an incident of suicide in your family. And so when someone did end their life, nobody would talk about it.
Right.
Because it was this hush-hush thing, and people would talk about it in hushed tones, right? Yeah. And so what's actually really, really important is having the conversation, not being afraid of the conversation.
Right.
And if you don't know how to talk to your kid or your loved one who you think might be at risk, just get on with the county health department.
There are resources all over the place.
There are suicide hotlines probably in every single county in the country. I would hope so. If not, there's a national suicide watch line or helpline.
There's Suicide Awareness Voices of Education, or SAVE. They have a really good website with some resources. Or Grief Beyond Belief, which is a non-believers place. They have a webpage. They even have a closed group that they wouldn't let me into.
Really?
Because I wanted to join just as someone who could be supportive. And they were like, no. This is just for people who are actually currently grieving.
Wow.
So if grief is something that you're struggling with, that's a great resource. But they also have other resources.
But nonetheless, my point is that there are resources out there, and there's no shame in seeking out help for yourself or help for a loved one.
No.
Like this is really critical stuff. And so you talk about your life being yours and, you know, and yours to, I think you said dispose of. That
may have been not great wording. I mean, that may not have been the best wording I've ever come up with.
And so I again, when there's any kind of depression or mental illness involved, I would hesitate to go down that road.
Sure.
I don't think that we should be granting too much permission to people who are mentally ill to engage in
especially when,
you know, that's not the point here. The point is trying to prevent people who are in a bad place from doing something that in 48 hours they may never think about doing again.
Right.
And it's not always that quick and that easy of a turnaround. It's usually a long process, months, years before you're feeling 100% tip top. You might have a chemical imbalance of some kind.
You
that
may
need
never
to
feel 100% tip top,
but there's joy in life. Life is amazing. It's the only one you've got. I hate the idea of people throwing it away.
I agree with you. I mean, while I feel like the moral stance is one thing, and I don't know that I can condemn anyone morally who wants to commit suicide. But there's this other thing, which is that life is here.
Yeah.
You get one shot at it.
Yeah.
You might as well squeeze as much out of it as you can.
Yeah.
And you might as well like work as hard as you need to make it worth living.
And I think it's probably.
And we're here for you.
Yeah. Well,
like we as a community are here for you if you ask.
Yeah.
If you reach out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
This society will embrace you.
Yeah.
Or you can find somebody in society that will embrace you.
No, there's so much help out there.
It's so great.
And so, that's what. So, You want to know what I've been up to? Yeah, I have been for 9 months now on this topic. And yeah, at the very beginning of it, I was like, how do I protect my own psyche through this whole thing? Because
it's not an easy subject.
And it's a lot of just sad stories and tragedy in people's lives, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going I suggested this. How stupid can I be?
What the hell's the matter with me?
Yeah, no, like seriously, why didn't I not something on puppies?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I kind of, I've actually now looked at some choices and decisions I made, and recognized some of the protective decisions that I did make with how I handled the topic.
Right.
It's a film that's much more about prevention, rather than we're not wallowing around in misery for very long.
Right.
Obviously, there are stories that have to be told, in ways to understand the issue a little bit better. But then I actually met up with somebody from the station earlier today to show the film to her and just get some kind of last minute feedback. And she was like, why didn't you talk to this kid's father? And I was like, and I hadn't even really processed it, right? Because I talked to the mom and sister. And there's something about a dad's grief that I don't think
gets you extra?
that I don't think I could have handled.
Wow.
And I didn't go anywhere near it.
Wow. Interesting.
And because it's like a mother's, like, I think there's a willingness, because, you get your sort of emotional life, I think, in a lot of ways from your mother, right? Or at least I feel that connection, that's where I feel like my ability to deal with, whatever that comes up in my life. I feel that the programming came from my mom. And so there's an ability there to be more emotional with your mom, to accept her emotions a little bit more easily, I think.
Sure.
For me.
Yeah.
And so a dad sitting there and weeping about his son who ended his life, I think would have just
wrecked you.
I don't think I could have. I don't think I would have gotten through it. Like just awful. And so anyway, that's just one example of like just these weird little decisions that I made that now in retrospect I'm like, oh my God, this thing really, really affected me, and definitely changed my perspective. And one of the decisions that I made, because I saw these statistics about the LGBT community, right? And I was like, you know what? We've seen this. I feel like I've seen this topic dealt with for the L and the G, probably not so much the B,
right?
But I've never really seen a lot done on the trans community,
right?
And it seems to be a topic that's current, in our national discussion. That's the story that I'm going to seek out and find. And I just have to say that I'm just unbelievably glad that I did. Because while intellectually I feel like I've processed, the reality that there are trans people in the world and my attitudes about, their identity, and my willingness and desire to be accepting, right? And in the process of editing any film and working on any film, you spend a lot of time on the phone and just having conversations with people. I worked through it. 100%. Absolutely fell in love with this one character. She's just an absolute delight in this film. And lovely. Just really feel like I really got to know someone who has had a very different life experience than my own.
Isn't that amazing?
And it's one of the things I love about documentary production and whatnot, because it's you and actually I was talking to this producer friend earlier today about running into people who you've had in one of your films, at the supermarket. And you're like running across the supermarket to say hi to this person. And you're so excited to see them. And when you get up to them, they're like, wait, who are you? And then you're like, oh, no, it's Frank. You know, I worked on that one film. And they're like, oh, yeah, oh, hi, nice to see you, and kind of just go about their day.
Right.
And whereas you just found this person whose face you stared at every day,
right,
for potentially a couple hours
on an editing
screen, just sitting there working on this film.
Well, and you touched, like, they shared themselves with you on a very deep level. You didn't share yourself with them.
No, I know,
on a deep level at all.
I know, and so there's really truly have like this amazing like fondness and connection for for these people, and it's such a strange thing to know that it's not reciprocated.
Yeah.
But really just some fantastic, amazing,
good,
inspiring people and stories in this film.
We'll keep you guys up to date as to when this comes out and where you might see
fall,
it. So yeah, in the fall you can look forward to it. But in the meantime, if you guys have anything that you'd like to write into us about, if you have any part of this conversation that you'd like to participate in, please do so. You can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. We'd love to hear your voice.
Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and see what Mackenzie's up to.
Yeah, and while you're there on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge. Requests to join may take a little while to get let in, but sooner or later.
Sooner or later. Hey, thanks to Mackenzie for all of her work on the Facebook page. It's amazing.
Yep, and thank you to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music.
And thank you to you, dear listener, for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Bye.